Hey everybody, ChickenBrad here, and I wanted to show you a game that I played earlier today. And the reason I'm doing this video is because it kind of gives me a chance to go over some of my games and see where I may have made mistakes and possibly different options to play. So my opponent opens for d4, and I'm playing black, and I'm not really familiar with a lot of the d4 opening lines, so to avoid getting in a bad tactical spot right off the bat, I decided to play a kingside fianchetto variation, so play continues like this. And here is where the game basically started for me. I decided that my best option here was to probably play c6. I didn't want him playing a move like d4 to d5, hindering my queenside development progress. So I wanted to stop that right away and also open up an area for my queen if I wanted to bring it out. From here, made a development move, and this was kind of an ill-advised move at this point because I wanted to make this pawn push anyway, and this gave me a chance to do it and also gain an extra tempo. So he retreats to b3, and now I took a look at this position for a little while and I tried to figure what were my best options. And I noticed on the king side I had a pretty nice, solid, safe little house going on here. However, at the same time, there weren't a lot of options for me to progress. These three squares were guarded. There weren't really any jump points for my knight. Anything I wanted to basically bring up here, it was, there wasn't a lot of options for play. And also his knight had some good jump points here. So I didn't really want to get tangled up in something that would be a hindrance to me, so I opted to play on the queen side instead. And I played pawn up to b5, and from here he wanted to stop any further pawn advances, so he plays a3. And now I decided I wanted to bring my queen out before I developed my minor pieces, because I wanted to get trapped behind them. So I up to d6, looking to possibly take control of the c5 square. He plays bishop to d2. I think better in this position would have been to go ahead and castle and prepare for some kind of a push here, trying to open up space to attack. However, from here I went ahead and developed my knight, once again attacking this square, and as you can see, since it's only got one defender, I'm going to gain control of it shortly. He went ahead and castled here, and now I saw the opportunity for the following tactic, so I went and played up to a6, hoping that if he didn't spot this, that I would get to win some material by pushing that pawn. He did see this, so he went ahead and avoided it, and now I pushed up to c5 as planned, and he captures. I recapture with my knight, and now he brings his knight down to d4. I'm assuming he did this to try and open up somewhere for his queen to attack, however, and also to put some pressure on this pawn. But I think it was better off for him to leave his knight where it was, since this location is probably not as good for it at this point. From here, I just play my rook over to defend that pawn, and now he brings his bishop back to a2. I can only assume he was planning on making some kind of advance here, or maybe there was a tactical situation that he might have he didn't want to get involved in. In any event, I wanted to go ahead and kick this knight, so I play up to e5, and now he moves it back to b3, attacking my knight on c5. And I liked my knight on c5. I thought it was in much a better position than his knight, and I didn't want to trade off. So I went ahead and moved it up to e4. And it was kind of hard for him to remove this. If he was to play here, I could simply come over to this square and attack a lot of squares, and it would be very hard for him to remove. And also, it was attacking a number of his pieces. Okay, anyway, He plays over to a5, and I looked at this for a few minutes, and I thought, this had to be some kind of a mistake. So I decided to take advantage of that, playing b5 to b4. And after I played this, I realized that this move was premature, and I probably should have played rook to c8 instead, and excuse me, hoping to play that move next turn. However, that might not have worked out anyway. And the reason I couldn't, he captures here, and the reason I couldn't recapture was because if I was to, it would simply open up this tactic. Oop, excuse me. Okay, I don't know how that works, but pinning my pinning my queen and my rook. So I was unable to recapture. So instead, from here, I play rook over to c8, and now he captures my knight, and I recapture his. This is a trade I'm happy to make because his knight was in a fairly dangerous position, and mine was basically out of play at the moment. So from here, he plays bishop over to d2, adding some pressure here, and also here, opening up lines for his queen. And I thought that I could probably win material in this variation, so I went ahead and capture. He recaptures, and now I gain a pawn. At first I didn't see this move. Went ahead and played queen takes on d5. And I looked at this position for quite a while, and I decided that it was in my best options to make a queen trade here because there's no way he was going to hang on to both of these pawns. And even though I was slightly down in material, I felt that with my positional advantage I could win the game if I was able to trade down from this point anyway. So I took the queen he retook and captured on b4, and the reason I opted to capture here instead of on putting a rook on the second rank, you'll see he chose to defend with his c1 rook. It didn't really matter in the long run which rook he defended with. This opens up a simple move, rook to b5, and now there is no way he can avoid losing one of these pieces. He plays up to b3 with his knight and simply capture the bishop. And now he attacks my rook on e4. This was a mistake, and you'll soon see why. This threat is obviously easily warded off, and I would have wanted to move my rook anyway. So I move it over to b5, and now I'm applying pressure on both the knight and the pawn, and if I can remove the defender of the knight, it would cause serious problems for him. From here, he solidifies his pawn chain with f3, although that move is completely ill-advised at this point. Better would be to come down here and try and put some kind of attack on my position. However, from here I play h6, and now there's no way he can salvage his pawn on c2. He moves his rook out of the way, and I look at this position and I realize there's not really any threat of him doing this. So I go ahead and capture. He checks. I just move out of the way, and now he threatens my rook. Come over here and apply more pressure, hoping to put one of my rooks here if I can, and offer a trade. He comes back here, and now I move my rook up, and from this point he goes ahead and resigns for the simple reason that there's no way he can avoid checkmate at this point. If play were to continue, let's say he makes any sort of move like that one there, just come over here, and that's game. Thanks for watching. See you soon.